My name is Sarah Harper and I run Honey Mosaics. I create lots of mosaic craft kits for children and adults. And today I'm introducing you to a new kit that's just been launched, and it's a Happy Easter, an Easter egg with a lovely mosaic picture on. The mosaic kit's going to come in a box like this. And here's one that's already open. So let's have a look and see what's inside. So you have got your mosaic tiles, you've got your template, your bag of grout with your cloth and glove, and you can put that to the side because you won't need this till later on. You've got a pot of glue, a paintbrush which I suggest you use for gluing, your string which you're going to need at the end if you choose to hang your egg, and very importantly, your instructions. But if you're going to be mosaicing with me now, you can progress through the make without the instructions by listening to my tips. I'm going to work my way through each of these steps. So, step 1, and that would be to take your template. Now I suggest that you draw around your egg. Now you can either use the inside of your box, which works perfectly, or you can find a plain piece of paper. Now I'm going with the option of the plain paper, just for the purpose of you being able to all see what I'm doing. Right, so I'm going to put that centrally down, and I'm just going to draw around the egg. You don't have to do this. It might help with the placement of the tiles. Now, the next step would be to get all your tiles out. Just pour them out onto a surface, or again, you might want to use the inside of your box. At least then they're not going to fall off the table edge. Now, you'll notice that some of your tiles, I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you see that? You can. They've got tiny little grooves. Now that is the back side of the tile, and you need to be sticking that down to your wooden template. So let's put all our tiles face up so we can see what we've got. I'm just going to pause the video and change it to a fast forward mode because it's going to take me a little bit of time. You can pause the video whilst you sort your tiles. So now you've turned all your tiles over like me, and what I've done as well, just to help myself, is I've arranged them into their little sections. So either be that part of the rainbow in the colour order, the grass in one area. I just push the sky to the side because we'll probably be working on that last, and my letter tiles are laid in the right order. Now, if you choose to go directly onto your template, that's fine. You can pop that down and you can start gluing onto the template and then put your tiles down. But if you choose to have a little practice, then we'll go ahead now and we'll lay it onto our paper layout. Right, so I'm suggesting that you start actually with the grass. So you'll notice that you've got some irregular tiles, and they're all going to be slightly different in each kit. So what you need to do is you need to play around with putting them into different positions and to see what works best. And you might have a mixture of 2 greens in your pack. So they don't have to be perfect because there's grout that's going to go into all those gaps. You just want to try and fill that bottom curve of the egg. And we want to create a nice straight line at the top. So let's have a go and see how that looks. I think that little one might fit best in there. Yep, I think that's okay. And got another small one there. Okay, and then one there. So there we go, that fits quite well. Yes, I'm happy with that. Next, I suggest you get your petals. Now, I haven't actually mentioned, but it's important, I think, that I do. You don't have to follow my layout. It's just a suggestion. So if you want to do a slightly different design, like if you want to bring the rainbow slightly lower down, and you want to move the sunshine, you can do that. You can do whatever you want because it's your mosaic. So you could always play around with a couple of ideas, and you could always get your parents or an adult that's helping you to take a photograph if you want to have a go at something different, and then you can always decide at the end which one you like best. I'd say that's the rough position for my flower. And then I'm going to move on to the rainbow. Right, so I'm following my design. So the red is going to go all the way around the top edge. And just follow on like that. The next colour. Carry on until you've laid all the colours of the rainbow. So there is area for movement as well when you move it onto the wood. You can take more time than me. I'm just trying to do this relatively quickly. And also remember that you can pause the video at any time if you need to catch up. So that's the green in. Obviously you'll see that I haven't added all the colours of the rainbow in. I am aware that there's more colours than what I'm using. I didn't really have the space on this design to get all the colours in. Just had to pick 4. Okay, there we go. Just bring that one down a little bit. Then I'm going to move on to putting the sunshine down. So I'll start with my, just having a look at my picture. So it's going to come slightly over there. Go a little bit higher actually. Okay, and put one out there. And one around that side. And then I'll just be filling this area over here in with the white. And that's my cloud. Because you have to have a cloud in the sky if you've got a rainbow. Okay. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I'll just move it up a little bit. That's it. Yeah. I'm not going to lay the blue sky onto this template because I think I'm going to find it a little bit tricky then to move the tiles from this one to the other template if my blue sky is in the way. And I think you'll probably find that you just want to glue over the wood and just lay your blue sky in randomly. So I think I'm ready to start sticking. So I'm going to get my glue. Now you need to unscrew the cap in there and you need to get the cap out. You probably need some help from a grown-up to take that out. And put the lid back on and then loosen the nozzle, and I've just got myself an empty jar lid just to use to hold my glue. So, I'm just going to start off by showing you and then I'll let you carry on. So I'm going to glue directly onto the wood. I think you'll find this a lot easier. I'm going to move my glue so it's sitting close to where I'm working. And I'm going to go over the whole area that I'm going to work on. So I'm going to start by gluing the grass down. So I'm simply going to take that one out, into place, and the next one, and continue like that. Sometimes you don't actually know what's going to look best until you start playing around with your design. I think that looks good. I'd love to see your finished work. If you'd like to share it with me, you can find me on Facebook, Honey Mosaics, and you can find me on Instagram, Sarah Harper Honey Mosaics. And you can always send me an email as well. All those details are on your instructions. And of course, if you've got any questions, please ask away. Now you've got a couple of shades of blue, so I just suggest that you space those different shades out rather than them all sitting next to one another. I think it looks quite nice when there's a couple of different colours. So I'm just making sure that all my blue tiles are turned over, just so I put them down the right way. Now if you do end up sticking a tile upside down, that's okay. You might actually prefer the surface of the underside, the little wrinkle, you might like that effect. But what you just need to remember is, because these are for adhesive, for the glue, it's to help it bond. When you put your grout in, the grout is going to sit in those little grooves if you've got the tile face up. So you're going to have to work that a little bit harder to get the grout out of all those little grooves. So I'm just going to glue in this area. Right, so hopefully you're at the same stage as me now, where we've put the grass down, the flower, the sunshine, the cloud and the rainbow. Now I actually found that I had one too many tiles for the yellow, for the rainbow, when I moved it from my paper template to the wooden one. So I just decided to leave that one out. So you don't have to use all the tiles if you find that the fit is better without them, so don't try and squash them all in. Right, so next I'm going to put the Happy Easter. Now I'm going to put that where it was on my template, but you could put yours anywhere you want. So I'm going to write the Happy at the top, and then I'm going to write the Easter underneath, and I'm going to keep my two words quite close together. You could always slightly create an angle with Happy Easter, or you might want to put it somewhere completely different. So I'm going to randomly put them down. I'm just thinking I'm just going to move that Easter over a bit because I want enough room to get a little blue one at the end. Okay, so as long as you move the tiles before they set, you've got time to make little alterations like that. That's it. So I'm just going to continue like this until I've infilled the whole of the background. I suggest you do the same. I finished sticking all my tiles down, and you should be at that stage too now. Leave yours flat on the surface and allow it to dry for say 24 hours, or if you're starting in the morning, perhaps by the evening everything will be dry and ready for grouting. Very much depends on how much glue you've used as to how quickly it's going to dry. Now as soon as it is dry, you'll be ready to move on to the next stage. So you probably want to come back to this video tomorrow to see the rest. You get a little bag of grout, and that colour will be dependent on the kit. Now white is probably, well, it's a nice colour, grout, and it's quite clean as well, not as messy as some of the other colours. Right, so I've just poured it into a container. At home you can just use a empty margarine tub. I'm then going to add a small amount of water. Now add a small amount at a time, because it's best to add more if needed. So you'll get a spatula as well in the kit. Now that can be used for gluing, but you've also got a paintbrush, which I find easier to apply the glue with, and I save the spatula for grouting. So you can see straight away that there's not enough water. The grout will start to crumble, so I'm going to add a little bit more. And you're trying to mix your grout into a paste. It's nice and smooth, that holds its own shape. So you can see in my tub, you can see that's crumbling. So that's a little bit on the dry side, but it's not far off. So I'm just going to add a touch more water. Just pop it down so I can really mix it well. I can see that that's much better. So it will quickly mix up. Just want to make sure you get all the powder on the edges. And then I suggest that you leave it for a couple of minutes, come back to it and mix it again before you start working with it. And you can see there, I call it toothpaste. Well, I say it should look like toothpaste. Children find that rather funny. So there we go. You see how it holds its form. It's not falling off the spatula, so that's perfect. Just one more little mix. Okay, so you can either pour the grout on like this. This is probably the quicker option, or you can take it out a little bit at a time with the spatula. So once the grout's down, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just working the spatula back and forth, and I'm moving that grout into all the gaps. So once the grout's down, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just working the spatula back and forth, and I'm moving that grout into all the gaps. I am going to grout over the little hanging hole. Now, if you want to hang the egg at the end, you'll need to pierce that hole. You need to pierce through the grout once you've started to clean it off. But you might decide that you don't actually want to use the hanging hole. So what I would suggest then is that you just mosaic over it, or you grout straight over it. When I get to the end, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape that excess grout off, and I'm just going to push it right to the sides, and then I'm going to ensure, can you see what I'm doing there? Just that I've filled all those gaps. Just like that. So I'm going to keep on going round. What you can do is you can just pause the video if you need to catch up, because this is a demonstration, so perhaps I'm going a little bit quicker than I might if I was just doing this on my own. I'm just going to pour a little bit more grout. Now you have got gloves as well in your kit, so you might want to wear them. Quite excited to see this mosaic when it's complete. I often tell my students that my favourite part of making the mosaic is the grouting. It's quite exciting when you start to clean it off. It just pulls the whole piece together. You just hope that you've picked the right colour grout, because there are many choices of colour. And the colour that you use does really affect the finish of your mosaic. So you have to pick wisely. Okay, right, I think I'm just about done there. Right, so what I need to do now is allow that time to set. Okay, I've just put my cloth into my clean water, so you'll need an extra tub to put some clean cold water in. So you get a cloth in your kit. So you need to rinse your cloth out, so you're using a damp cloth, not a wringing wet one. You don't want to be dripping water onto the mosaic because it's going to make it quite messy. So I'm just going to start cleaning off. As you can see, I'm just doing circular motions just to clean around all those tiles. I have to push a little bit harder around those leaves. So I'm going to go over the whole thing. And you can start to see the picture emerge. Can you see it starting to look nicely finished? So you're just going to have to clean those letter tiles up. I've put in a little bit more pressure. I think it's time now to clean that cloth. Take all that excess water off the cloth. See, it's starting to see the picture. You go round the edges. Not putting too much pressure on, being nice and gentle. After you get all the grout off and you're happy, you're going to then leave it again just for a little while. And you'll notice that it will start kind of dusting over. So then you'll just get a dry cloth. You can dry this one out. It's in your kit. And then you'll just buff it up. And it'll become nice and shiny. So there's the finished Easter egg. And for me, it's going to have a hanging hole, so I'm going to use the paintbrush. So I've just dipped it into the water, and I'm going to find the hole and just push it through. That's it. You can see, pierce that hole nicely, and I'll just wipe over it. There we have it. So if you've made yours too, well done. Hope you're pleased with the finished piece. There we are. Happy Easter!